I'm Patrick Byers, Horticulture Field Specialist with University of Missouri Extension. Let's talk about cleft grafting. Cleft grafting is a useful practice when the Cyan piece is considerably smaller than the rootstock. It's also a useful grafting practice when you want to change the cultivar of a tree that's already growing in your orchard. Today we're going to be working with persimmons. 3 years ago I planted 3 persimmon seeds at this place where I want a persimmon tree. All 3 seedlings grew, and now these are large enough to cleft graft. The first step in cleft grafting is to prepare the rootstock. We'll do that by making a cut across the stem of the rootstock. I like to use a pruning saw because the blade is extremely sharp and gives you a good smooth cut. So now the rootstock is prepared. When you make the cut, it's helpful to put a little bit of a slope on it so that water sheds away from that surface. That's the first step. The next step is to split the rootstock, and you can certainly use a cleft grafting tool, which is what this is here. It has a blade on it. It also has a wedge. The blade splits the rootstock. The wedge then holds the rootstock open while you insert the Cyans. But we are going to use a butcher knife and a hammer. Just as easy and does just as good of a job. So we place the knife across the cross-section of our rootstock, and then tapping with the hammer, we split it. You want to go perhaps 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch deep. We then pull the knife out, and then using a slot screwdriver, we place it in the very center of the rootstock. We drive it in with our hammer right where the cut is, to hold the rootstock open to receive the Cyan pieces. You can see there's a split now here and a split there. The next step is to prepare the Cyan pieces. I have some persimmon rootstock that I collected earlier today. This is from last year's shoots, the best wood to use for cleft grafting. Using a sharp bladed knife that's been disinfected, we now take the Cyan piece and we prepare it with one sloping cut, and we'll make a second sloping cut. But we want to end up with a pie-shaped cross-section on our Cyan piece. You notice that this side is wider than this side here. I'll try to show it against my leg here. This side is the thin side. This side is the wide side. We'll place the wide side to the outside of our rootstock. Next step then is to insert this into the rootstock. I like to leave 3 buds exposed, 1, 2, 3, on the Cyan piece. So we'll prepare that. Now we'll take this piece and we'll insert it into our prepared rootstock. And we're using care to line up the cambia layer on the Cyan piece with the cambia layer on the rootstock. And when you have a difference in age, as you do here, oftentimes you have to jockey it in and out a little bit to make sure that it fits where you want it to. That's the first piece. I have a second piece that I prepared earlier. We'll insert that on the other side of the rootstock. So now that we have these pieces inserted, and the cambia layers lined up, we'll now remove the screwdriver. This gives enough tension now in the rootstock to hold those Cyan pieces in place. Now we're going to cover every cut surface with grafting wax. Grafting wax is a mixture of beeswax, resin, carbon, and sometimes other things. It's very pliable, melts at a low temperature, but yet it will maintain a water-resistant layer over the cut surfaces until the graft union has a chance to heal. So we'll first go up the sides and cover the split that we created. Want to use this grafting wax liberally. Then we cover the cut surface in the center. Cover the entire top of the rootstock piece. Make sure that all cut surfaces are covered with the wax. And then we'll finish off by putting a little bit of wax on the ends of the Cyan pieces. We'll want to come back tomorrow and recheck this layer to make sure that it's still continuous. And we'll want to come back in a week as well to make sure that the grafting wax is covering all of these surfaces and that it hasn't cracked in the meanwhile. And that is the finished cleft graft. So to review, we use cleft grafting to change the cultivar of a tree, or in a situation where we have a rootstock that is larger than the Cyan, we prepare the rootstock with a clean cut We split the rootstock, we insert the Cyan pieces, and then we cover all cut surfaces with grafting wax.